Miss Finch, you sent in Cassie Wright.
It's Carrie White.
Come in, Cassie.
Carrie.
Miss Finch, would you bring in a dismissal slip? You thought you might take the rest of the day and go home. Take care of yourself, Cassie.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
This is Cheap Seat Reviews.
Three slaps across the face. I'm on Team Carrie, clearly.
Yeah. Oh, you want more head? You have to go kill a pig later. Okay.
Twisting your dirty mustache right now as you're giggling.
Hello, and thank you for listening to Cheap Seat Reviews, the podcast that explores the Hollywood film industry for the greater good.
You know, the greater good.
Okay.
That was a John Travolta.
Yeah, no, I
Just
knew
so
what you were doing. I knew what you're doing.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah, I knew. No, it was great. I actually thought for a second you were going to go like with the crazy hysterical mom, they're all going to laugh at you voice.
They're all going to laugh at you.
Yeah.
And then, which, by the way, I had no idea was this movie, which
Nice.
was surprising.
Wait. Was this also your first time viewing this movie?
It was my very first time.
Wow.
That's
All
the
right.
same.
Yeah.
None of you guys have seen this movie?
Never.
Andrew, real quick. We haven't even
This is
intro.
my first time.
That's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm even more excited to talk to you guys about this.
Okay.
I am popping my Carrie cherry.
Oh, no.
Oh God.
Wow. Okay.
Never say that.
That's a way to start the podcast right there.
You are welcome.
My name is Carrie. Let's never say that again.
Oh, sorry. That's right. What's the word?
Backtrack.
Redact.
I redact. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rescind, I think. What you're looking
Yes,
for.
rescind.
Keep
Yes.
digging is what I think is what you're trying to do. All right. Well, let's let's reset here before we get in too much more trouble. This is episode 416. 416. That's my birthday. And tonight we're talking about Carrie, 1976's Carrie, the Stephen King adaptation. Carrie, directed by Brian De Palma. That was hard for me to say for some reason. I am Sean Allred, and joining me tonight is Andrew. He likes to sneak into pig farms at night on Friday nights, Jimison.
Well, that's what we call the Friday night football games in our county. But sure,
Yes.
there we go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed really easy to sneak in there, but I guess why have special security for a pig farm?
I would have to say that's the most decorative pig farm I've ever seen as well.
I
mean,
Isn't normally it's like a cow tipping thing is what they do on Friday nights? Who goes to a pig farm?
well, they go to a pig farm for other reasons around here.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
But it was a happy pig farm, apparently, until that happened.
things tonight, Andrew. I don't like it.
Yeah, they yes, as soon as I saw the mural on the side, all I could think of is, oh, someone drew that to distract people from the fact that pigs are being slaughtered every day inside there.
At first, I honestly
And nights, apparently.
I thought it was supposed to be like almost a set or something, or like we're not going to spend any money on this set, so let's just paint something on the wall. Like, God, this is terrible quality.
Yeah.
But no, just trying to make everyone forget about what they're doing to the poor little pigs.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. And Sam,
What?
Tommy was surprisingly the only one who died peacefully. Vector.
Do we know he died? Like, did the bucket kill him?
No, the bucket didn't kill him, but he probably died with everyone else, and I just assumed
Oh,
he
okay.
was still.
Yeah.
We didn't see him wake up, so I assumed that he died unconscious, which is
Okay.
probably the best way to go in that scenario, because everyone, if you didn't get cut in half by ceiling debris, you were burned alive. So
Yeah, that was rough. But Sean,
yeah.
I'd like you to introduce you to my friend, Mr. Travolta over here with the sledgehammer.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah.
What a stupid scene. I'm sorry.
That's so dumb.
I hated that scene so
I
much.
mean, I'm wondering in the book, is it actual blood that they used? I mean, why not just water or just so many other easy to use things to dump on something?
There's a very real reason why they use blood, and we'll talk about it later. I know Carrie is real. It's like just it's eating at her. I can see it in her face that there's a real reason. All right.
Okay.
And Carrie, making her triumphant return, her reluctant return, her I don't know. She's here, and I will say this, Carrie, you are the first repeat customer of the year of 2022.
Woo!
Do I get a prize?
You do.
You get a movie watched with your name on it.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Kind of a big deal.
It is kind of a big deal. And actually, if you want, again, you already have some Cheap Seat Review stickers, but I can send you some of these holographic ones if you want. That's
fancy.
That's the only thing I have to offer.
They're pretty swagalicious.
They are. So,
great word. It absolutely is.
So Carrie uses her telekinetic powers to make coffee in the morning from the Dicktales podcast.
Smooth. I like it.
Yeah.
Very
Wouldn't
nice.
it be great though? God, I would die without coffee. Like I felt that way this morning. I had about 3 hours of sleep last night, and my first thought was coffee or death. Like that's all it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thank God for the automatic start.
Yeah, I think I once told you that I don't drink coffee, and your response was interesting. I think the phrase you used.
I don't understand.
Yeah, no, Sean,
You're just,
I
like,
just
raw dogging life, and I don't
that
get
was
that.
the phrase you used, raw dogging life.
Yeah. You don't drink coffee. It's weird.
So, 1976 is Carrie, based on Stephen King's book of the same name. It is his first book to be turned into a movie. And I've already had a discussion with someone on Twitter who thinks that this is the best Stephen King adaptation, which I found interesting because Shawshank Redemption. And
yeah.
And of course, this is one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations. I can definitely say that.
Well, it does have the benefit of being better than most of them because most of them are terrible.
Yeah.
What?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
No, some of them are.
Jump off here, guys. I think I'm done.
Okay, name me 4. Okay, other than like we know that.
You can't qualify. You want me to name you 4 Stephen King movies that I like?
Not that you like, that are good, because that's what I said.
Dr. Sleep is good.
It's fantastic.
The Shining.
It's a good movie. I hate it, but it's a good movie.
Okay. I haven't seen Shawshank Redemption, which I know that's probably.
Oh, that's list of shame right there.
I own the movie, but I haven't seen it. But I've heard that's amazing.
It is. It's a fantastic film.
I love Carrie, and I also love Christine. That's a great movie.
I don't. In fairness, I've never seen Christine. I've not heard anything other than it's schlocky, whatever. But like,
saw Christine once.
Well, but like 70s horror movies, I mean, they're gonna be like that. You know what I mean? Like we're used to different movies now. We're used to CGI. We're used to less storyline for the most part, and a lot of jump scares. This movie has none of that.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
I guess.
No, it does have a jump scare because it got me.
Oh, it got me too, and I freaking knew it was going to happen.
Time.
Yeah.
Which part?
At the end of the movie, the arm coming out of the ground.
Oh, I knew that was happening.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that because I knew it.
I had no clue. Normally, jump scares don't bother me. That one, I was shook.
I don't know why.
You were shook.
I was shook.
Yeah, it got me pretty good too. But I guess what I was trying to say is like because it feels like there's like 100 Stephen King adaptations out there, and most of them are not good, right? For every Dr. Sleep, Shining, Carrie, you get like the Carrie remake, which has like a 4.1 rating on IMDb, or you get the Dark Tower movie, or you get the one where like they're cat people. What's that one? The Langoliers or something.
Pet Sematary.
No, Pet Sematary was good. You didn't like Pet Sematary?
I haven't seen it. Admittedly, I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
So how can you sit here and say these movies suck when you haven't watched most of them, Sean?
Because I can know that dog shit tastes bad, but I've not eaten it.
Well, if you like it, you also don't like coffee. So can we trust your opinion?
But I've tried coffee. I have tried coffee. I just don't like it. Just like the last time when we were at the beach and my wife and the kids were eating crab legs, I'm like, let me try another crab leg. And I tried it. I'm like, yep, still tastes bad to me. So every now and then I'll try it. I just, it's not like I'm averse to it. I actually want, especially seafood, I want to eat it because everyone else in the family likes it. It would be more convenient if I did like it.
There's a comedian who says that dog shit can taste good if there's enough ranch on it.
Or hot sauce.
Yeah.
If that's your thing.
Ugh, gross. All right. I don't know how we got there, but that's fine. For some reason I'm feeling very attacked, and I feel like you guys are bullying me.
It's an intervention. That's what happens.
Is that the
here.
theme of tonight's episode? Is that I'm going to be
All up
bullied? So,
Yeah.
I think, are you just sensitive because we watched a movie about bullying?
I'm always very sensitive, Carrie. You know that.
That could be.
So Brian De Palma directed this film, like I said, and he has directed. Well, we have seen, I think, one of his movies before. If I'm not, yeah, we've watched Untouchables of his, and he also did Mission Impossible, the first one, which I like. I know a lot of people don't, but I liked that one. He also did Scarface, which I haven't seen.
What?
And I know your
Right.
surprise is like, you should just get used to me saying I haven't seen it.
But you have a movie review podcast, and you said you're on episode 416, and you don't watch Stephen King movies, and you haven't seen Scarface.
Yeah.
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 And didn't you watch when you watched The Princess Bride for this podcast? Wasn't that the first time you'd ever seen that too?
Not for me. It was for Andrew.
That's for me, yeah.
No. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't like it, and that's my favorite movie. So we had a little bit of beef about that, Andrew.
That's right, we did. I know.
That's okay. Move on.
I loved it.
She forgave you more, like quicker than you offending her favorite movie than she has for me not liking coffee.
Well, I mean,
Well, that's just un-American, Sean.
Obviously.
Yeah, it is.
Thanks for bringing it back. All right. Anyway, so he also directed pretty recently. He did the Black Dahlia, which was critically acclaimed, and Domino. He's also working on 2 films now called Sweet Vengeance and Catch and Kill. Those sound interesting. Sweet Vengeance. I like the name of that. Plot unknown. Well, okay, there you go. There's nothing about it. There's no actors or anything. So there you go. I have nothing more to tell you about that.
It's in the early stages. Great story.
Yeah, it was great. Okay, well, let's do 5-word reviews because I'm interested to see where we go with this. Because I was shocked actually to see that this was a first-time viewing for both Sam and Andrew. We are famously, for this podcast, cowards when it comes to horror films. Andrew
Yes,
admitted last
absolutely.
week that he's
All
probably,
of you guys are?
pretty much. Yeah.
for the most part,
I mean, I'm less than the other 2, I think.
yeah. Andrew admitted that he's like, he kind of watched a little bit of this stuff when he was growing up, but you still don't have the repertoire of someone like Carrie or Ebony last week, or
It's not something that I want to sit down and just watch on a regular basis. I have to be in the mood.
Sure. I
That's
have.
what my wife
But right
says.
now it's spooky season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody has to.
Force
There's foreplay involved.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
You have to be coerced into watching these movies, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Or bribed. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in this case, it is coercion for the podcast because it's the only reason why I would watch these movies. I would never watch one of these
Right.
movies
Yep.
without the podcast. I mean, like last week, seriously, you guys kind of laughed at me, especially when I told you off air about Paranormal Activity. I'm still having a hard time sleeping at night because of that movie. Legit. I'm not just saying that for the laughs of the podcast. I have to take melatonin to go to sleep at night because that movie is still bothering me. And
That movie
Oh,
is
yeah.
not even that scary.
It-
That movie is all the buildup. You're so tense the whole time waiting for something to happen. And you're having nightmares about it?
it's not nightmares.
Yeah.
It's just as I'm laying there trying to go to sleep, I hear every noise in the house.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
it's funny, like one of the things that actually really, and I didn't say this last week, one of the little bits that are gags or sight scares that they do that actually really got in my head was in one of the alternate endings. I think it's the alternate ending. Yeah, the alternate one where the police come in. So she's sitting there right on the floor, and then the police burst in and say, "Hey, police, the hallway light in the back room where the attic access is, that light turns on." and then turns off before the police come up the stairs. So like, there's something about that really bothered me. So like, I was like right now, like tonight when I'm done with the show and I'll turn all the stuff off and I'll leave this room, like I will turn on every light I can before I get into the bedroom. It's just, I will wake up my children turning on lights so I can get into the bedroom. Like, for something about that movie bothered me, and it also didn't help that the next night I'm laying there, and I think I texted you guys this, like I'm trying to go to sleep and then I hear what sounds like a footstep, and like my eyes like open up, right, and then I hear another footstep and then another one, and then I shoot up in bed and there's my daughter at the foot of my bed just standing there, and I'm like, I about peed myself, and I'm like, you okay, baby girl? What's going on? And she's like, I had a bad dream. It's like, okay, let's get you back in bed. So
now I'm going to have a bad dream too. So thanks.
Yeah. Anyway, this movie is not going to make me. I had no problem sleeping last night after watching this movie.
No,
because this movie is not really scary, but it definitely fits in the good horror genre that it is. So,
but does it?
I think so. I think so personally.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it. Andrew, why don't you? No, Sam goes first on 5 words.
Oh, you want me? Okay. You're gonna say that I'm lazy this week. I only have one, and it is horror isn't where it seems. And I had never seen this movie before, but everybody should know that Carrie is about the prom and getting red liquid, whatever it was, blood or whatever, dumped on her, and then she goes and kills everybody pretty much. That's all I knew going into this thing. And it was interesting to me to find the backstory about the bullying and how it wasn't Carrie who was supposed to be the monster. It was the people around her that created her. And I found that twist kind of the interesting part of this kind of one-off, right? Because really this, you could see Stephen King having an aha moment when he starts thinking about the prom scene and then creating the story from there. But I found it interesting that the obvious 20-year-olds playing teenagers and the teachers and the mother especially are really the scariest part of this whole film, because they're just
mother.
You can relate to that. Yeah. Now, with that said and done, I enjoyed the film. I wouldn't seek it out to watch again. But a few little nitpicks. I think the mother was cast wrong. She looks way too young to be the mother of Carrie. I think that would have been a better shot. I just don't understand the motive of some of the people in the movie, and I might have missed it. The girl who told the guy to go to prom with her, why was she on Carrie's side?
Yeah, I think she's a genuine nice girl. That was Sue, I believe.
Yeah.
Because at one point, whenever at the beginning of the movie, when the gym teacher is yelling at them all, she's yelling at her specifically, like, Sue, what the hell are you doing? And I think Sue had that moment of, yeah, what are we doing? Why are we bullying this girl? I'm going to step outside of my group of mean girls, and I'm going to have my boyfriend take her to prom and let her have this moment. Like that was all genuine to me.
Okay, because I could not, I don't know if I missed a scene or something, but it just felt weird. I kept expecting the other shoe to fall, whatever to fall.
Yeah.
And be a part of it. I expected the jock that went with her to turn on her at some point and make it even worse. So I don't know why I kept expecting that. But anyway,
because in the movie is a horrible person. Like you're surrounded by complete horrible people. Even the gym teacher. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you, Sam. Even the gym teacher, whenever she's kind of being nice, then she's talking shit about her to the other girls. She's talking about her to the principal, like, look, these girls were beating her up and doing this stuff, and I wanted to do it too. And it's like, what do you mean? Like, it's
the gym teacher's problematic in a lot of ways.
I actually
in a whole lot of ways.
One of my notes says Mrs. Collins is kind of a bitch. Just
Kind of an understatement.
I tell you, PE in the 70s, holy crap, it must have been something completely different. But
I wish I could have taught then.
oh my gosh, right?
You wish you could just the kids.
I mean, they're just slapping people
Absolutely.
willy-nilly. Imagine slapping a child now. Imagine it.
Oh, I mean,
It just would not happen.
slap.
even talking about it now would.
First
would be
20 minutes of
dismissed.
the movie, 3 slaps across the face.
Yeah.
There's a lot of slaps in this movie.
So many slaps.
There's
Yes.
almost as many slaps as there are naked women.
Oh God! And of
Yeah.
course, it's on my screen at work, and I'm like, crap. I had no idea that was going to
Porn
be there.
guys.
Well, the funny thing is like, so I typically, when I sit down to watch the movie, I like to take a picture of the TV and say, hey, I'm doing my homework for the podcast, right? I do it every week. Well, and I like to have some kind of identifying moment in the movie to let people know, even if you didn't read the tweet itself, if you just looked at the picture, you could see what I'm watching. So when it says, I took the picture when it says Carrie, the name of the movie, and I'm about to post when I realized there are naked people in the background. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to post this.
But here's
was so ridiculous. Like I just have to say it. This is like Stephen King and every male's fantasy because
Yeah.
girls, no women are walking around the locker room basically flirting with each other. That we are one step away from snapping each other with towels.
Yeah.
And you're completely naked. You know what I mean? Like you're not just carrying a towel. You're not walking from the shower, which had no doors apparently, or like even a curtain. You're not walking from the shower to your locker. You are just walking around, bush and boobs out for everybody to see.
the 70s. Yeah.
It doesn't
was
happen
that-
that way.
I mean, like I was in the high school in the late 90s, right?
Right.
Then it would never happen. We didn't even use the locker rooms, but I don't know a time in history where that was the case.
I was
Like,
going to
when-
ask, did you
when
guys
was that a
did
thing?
you shower after PE? Did you guys shower?
No.
I should have probably, but no.
Yeah. All middle school and high school boys should shower.
Yeah,
before and after
I
PE.
remember middle school, we had to change, right? So we had to change from our normal clothes into gym shorts and a shirt.
Yeah, we
And-
did that in in junior high and high school.
Yeah,
But no
and
one showered.
No
and you
one
certainly-
showered, but even that experience was terrifying because, like, like you, at least I did. Like most boys at that age are so uncomfortable about everything that, like, just getting into your underwear is like traumatic experience. So if it was raining outside and we got to stay in and not do a whole lot of physical activity, I was like, yes, it was like, oh, we don't have to change.
Yeah.
Awesome, we can just sit here and play marbles or something. I don't know.
But we still had to dress out, even if we were inside. Are you saying you changed your underwear after PE though?
No, we didn't. But like, I'm just saying, like, it was still just like a nightmare. I hated it.
Yeah.
Like, but every boy, unless you're like a super athletic jock dude, who even in 8th grade there wasn't very many. Like because in 9th grade is the last year you have to take PE. At least it was in my school.
Oh, we took it all the way through senior year.
Yeah, I didn't have to. So
Yeah,
But you
same here.
band, right?
yeah, I was in band. Yeah. Now we took our clothes off in front of each other in band, but that was because we wanted to.
No, totally
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
That is really strange. Now that you mention it, like band kids are totally comfortable doing that.
Yeah. Well, it's because we are all kind of shaped the same. Let's just be real. Like,
That's true.
All the awkward kids. There's nobody to judge.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're all, kind of awkward. Like there's that one like really attractive person, but like they're not in the room with us, Like so. Anyway, but I will say this to Carrie, to your point specifically about the locker room scene, which I don't know if Stephen King wrote that or if that's just a Brian De Palma thing, but
Right.
it did feel like it kind of sexualized everything that was happening, because you're not wrong. It was like what men think happens in girls, whatever, right?
Oh, we know it happens that way.
We know- everyone hopes you're walking around topless and you're
Yep.
just like, like petting each other's hair and
Yeah.
rubbing each other as you're walking by. That is not happening. We're changing in the locker rooms, at least in junior high and high school, the same way you guys were, which is like hunched over, or you turn around so your bra is facing the locker. You're not out here
Yeah.
just showing your tits off. It was so
And
aggravating
they're
to me.
throwing clothes at each
Well,
other and towels.
And no
and-
one has mentioned yet that this was supposed to be a high school locker room, and we're seeing what was supposed to be high school girls
Right.
yeah.
in this thing. To me, I don't know if the old Sam before having children would have felt any differently, but it felt awkward and it felt gross to me.
Yeah.
Well,
and it was strange.
It felt like an invasion of privacy, certainly when the camera is
Yes.
tracking from one aisle to the next. But then when it does the push in on Carrie, like taking a shower, that was like a sensual.
That was weird.
I mean,
Yeah.
It was almost like a soap commercial / porno.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was. Well, and then just the whole period thing too. I mean, again, we did have showers in our locker room, but they at least had curtains. Like nobody would have just showered everything out in front of everybody. And then she starts her period, has no idea what's even happening, which is horrifying. I can't imagine being 17 years old, you haven't had one, and you've never even heard of it. That scene was awful to me.
It is awful.
Yeah.
To your point.
Well, and then when she starts getting picked on, that was
okay. Yes.
I mean, you're supposed to feel incredibly bad for her.
You feel bad
which
for
we did.
being bullied. But if I was changing, and I don't know which girl was wearing like some kind of white shirt, and some girl comes with period blood on her hands and
that is gross.
me, I would have hit her too. I wouldn't have sat and thrown pads and tampons at her while she cowers in the corner, but someone purposely grabbing me with their period blood, and I guess she thought she was dying.
Yeah, I mean,
but
the scary thing is, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I mean, it's just mind blowing to me. The whole thing was. I can't cuss on this show, right? You guys keep your language.
Say whatever you want to say, Carrie.
PG-13.
I'll
give
bleep
Sean
it later.
more work. It's fine.
I'm trying to censor myself at the same time. Yeah, I would not have reacted well to that either. To somebody grabbing me with period blood all over their hands. But clearly, the fact that she thinks she's dying, I wouldn't have bullied her and just, traumatized her. Girls don't do that either.
The thing that bothered me about that scene the most was knowing that she had no one had sat down and told her, and we think that doesn't happen that often, but I think we would be or we'd be surprised that it happens more often than you would think it does, because there are people that either grow up parentless or grow up with their friends telling them about like I learned quite a bit in middle school from my friends because my parents sheltered me. I love them dearly, but I knew nothing about a lot of things until, 7th grade kid next to me said, "You don't know what this is?" So I think it happens a lot. And unfortunately, she was 17 when she figured this out. So sure, I mean, you live 17 years of your life and never have a period, you're probably going to think you're dying.
Right.
And it doesn't look like she has a lot of friends, so there's not a whole lot of talking with others.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this would be a complete surprise to her.
I keep harping on the period thing because it's crazy to me. Do you guys think that there was no sex ed? I know it's the 70s, so it's a different time. But there's
maybe
learn, like we did that. That was like 4th and 5th grade or something in the 90s, where we were sitting and they're sitting you down and tell you this is what girls go through, this is what guys go through. And yes, it's very basic and you don't find out a lot, but it's so crazy to think that she had never even heard of it.
It probably because I would bet because of the time period. I mean, 76, and King wrote it before then, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when he wrote it, 73,
60s.
60s maybe? Okay.
Ladies 60s, yeah.
It would not have surprised me if that wasn't a thing. I mean, sex ed in schools. I mean, they were probably still praying in school back then. We were still forcing kids to pray.
And smoking in school back then, which was funny.
Oh, that was in this too.
Funny.
Smoking didn't stop that's pretty recent. Like my mom became
80s.
a smoker because of school. She was a teacher. She goes to the teacher's lounge, and it's just like a smoke-filled room, and she wanted to fit in, so she became a smoker.
Yeah, now there's bongs.
Well, that too. And she
I'm
probably
just
does that too. I don't know. She's been teaching a long time.
Deep in the bathroom.
In fact, my high school, the high school that I went to, had a smoking section. When I was there was a section outside that had a sign that says the smoking section. Now, eventually they took it down.
For students or for teachers?
Both.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
We lived in the South.
It's North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's a reason why it's called Tobacco Road. There's a town.
Yeah.
There was a town just north of us called Tobaccoville. So.
Oh yeah. I often joke with my colleagues about we should have a margarita room instead of just in the middle of the day, margarita time.
Absolutely. Put some hammocks up in there. You got it going.
See, I work at a law firm, so I have attorneys that have bar carts in their offices, and we have a bar on our 20th floor. So everyone's like, "Do you want a desk beer?" I'm like, "Yeah." I don't know that I'm allowed to have a desk beer, but if you're getting one, please get me one. No, we didn't have a smoking section in school. We did have a stoners parking lot that everyone knew that's where you went to go smoke pot, but I don't think it was school sanctioned.
Yeah,
probably not.
Probably not.
So a few of the notes that I wrote at the very beginning here. First thing, my very first note was there's a lot of naked teenagers here. And then I said nice flute solo because there was a lot of flute in this movie.
Lots of flutes.
How sweaty could she have gotten by not playing volleyball well? I mean, did she even need to shower? I guess.
Oh man, you're picking on her volleyball skills too. You are a bully.
Yeah.
Well,
jeez.
That's what happens when the three of you gang up on me for the first 10 minutes of the episode.
It's okay, Sean. Climb out of your feelings.
And then I wrote, back when a slap to the face was acceptable. That's a good thing.
Yep.
And I feel like that's
typically for a hysterical woman. Like it's you can't call someone hysterical anymore either, but you're freaking out, you're too emotional. Let me smack you across the face as hard as I can.
Yeah, and that was definitely a product of not only of the time, but of film. Movies did that all the time, especially. I mean, the fact that it was a woman doing it makes it, I guess, a little better, but still.
John Travolta did it too. Yeah.
John Travolta did to his girlfriend. He was abusive.
Yeah, well, they were abusive to each other, but he was way more physical abusive than she was, because she just called him dumb. But he really didn't like
dumb shit. Yeah,
dumb shit. And then he's like, "Smack! Don't call me that." I also like how the motion though was very, like the physical motion was pretty gentle, but the Foley slap was like punching a slice of beef. Man, it was. It didn't quite match up, but it was funny.
I think the first slap was pretty light, but did he hit her 2 times or 3 times?
I thought at least twice, but like
at least twice.
Yeah. I mean, the second time that was a slap. It was, it made my face hurt. I'm like, what are we doing?
Speaking of these two and things that don't match up, during the Joe Blob, she was saying his name the entire time, and I was like. You can speak really clearly with that in your mouth.
That doesn't happen. Yeah. I remember that. So the first time I saw this movie, I was probably 14.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. I was like 14 when I saw this movie for the first time, and that is what I remembered about it the most. I'm like, I feel like she's talking a lot for what's going on. Like, is it busy? You can't hear. I don't know. I was thinking.
It's probably the worst Joe Blob you can get if she's talking that much.
He seemed to enjoy it. It, but yeah, not very realistic. I'm glad you brought that up because that was in my notes to talk about.
It was very awkward too. Like her hands were just like on his chest and neck, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
Awkward.
Clearly needs some lessons or something.
Well, they're high school kids. They don't know, I guess.
And then she's like, true. "Oh, don't be mad at me. Let me see." Again, I'm gonna have to censor myself for your podcast. I'm sorry, Sean. Let me give you head because right after you slap me, that's not going to happen. You know,
no.
It modeled such abusive relationships in this movie, which was crazy.
Well, think about this too, right? This was the screenplay, at least, was written in the 70s.
Right.
So I'm guessing there was some pretty hardcore masochism, not masochism. What do you call it?
Misogyny.
Misogyny. Thank you.
Yeah.
During this time. So,
yeah.
No, like I said, I mean, the movie starts out with 10 naked girls frolicking around the locker room together. So we're all pretty clear of when this was made and where their head was at.
Well, and if you look at other Stephen King adaptations and books and things like that, you start to see kind of a pattern of this as well. If you look at book scenes they have never included in the It movies, with the girl and what she does. We won't even go there, but it's some pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, Stephen King's head is a scary place for me.
Yeah, no kidding. So we're gonna backtrack a little bit in the movie. The what did you call the Joe Blob scene was funny. It did make me laugh because it was ridiculous. Also, because she's like, "I really hate Carrie," and he's like, "Who?" You know, like
during that point, right?
What is going on?
It was very strange. It's like we're in the middle of this moment, and obviously, what she wants something out of him, right? And she knows that she can get what she wants out of him with sex, and but it's like it's just weird that she chose that moment while things are going on to say, "I really hate this other person." He's like, "Who?" Which again, I didn't even know Travolta was even in this movie, so that was a shock. I mean, I saw his name in the credits. I thought, what? Because Sam, I'm with you. All I knew about this movie was Carrie gets pig blood poured on her. Her mother was crazy with a whole. We're all gonna laugh at you, scene, whatever, because that's been used in other, art, Family Guy and Simpsons and things like that. And then she kills a bunch of people with telekinesis somehow, and I didn't know how. I just didn't know how, and that was it. So I was kind of with you, so having not seen the movie and not realizing that Carrie's mother was so abusive and sheltered her so much that when she had her period and was screaming and raging, one of my notes is Carrie's special needs. It's because it's like she doesn't understand.
Like that.
It did. It really came across as that. And then the rest of the movie, it's just like, oh no, she's not socialized. She doesn't know how to react and act. And she tells her mom, like, how could you not tell me that this was going to happen to me? And of course, then the mom blames.
Like it was sin. It happened to her because she was sinful, which is just, the mom is so abusive. It's insane.
Yeah. Oh, the mom is insane, literally, clinically, every form that you can think of. And like you're sitting there watching this thinking, there are people like this in the world.
Absolutely.
There
are people there are abusive parents that hide behind religion for the things they do to their kids. And there are people, it's a control thing. It's like it seemed almost like it started. Did you guys see the part of, I guess, like the dad went off with another woman?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that's whenever it got as bad as it was. But it's just a control thing. She's a complete loss of control. So she wants to control every aspect of her daughter's life, and all in the name of religion.
And therein lies the genius of Stephen King horror, right? It's not in monsters or aliens. It's in
the everyday.
The everyday, people.
It's monsters that lie inside of us. It's the monsters you don't realize.
Yeah, you're saying that Sam triggered, other Stephen King ones that are actually good, like like Misery, right? Like the monster is just a person who is obsessed and turns crazy, and that's a good movie too.
I was going to say, thank you for bringing up another fantastic Stephen King movie.
Yeah, that's a really, really good movie. And we also watched Gerald's Game, but Mike Flanagan, I think he kind of makes everything good, though I've only seen the 2 movies of his. But you guys have seen Haunting on Hill House and swear by it.
Oh, Haunting on... Really, dude, you need to watch it. I hate to say it. It's such a good story.
Yeah.
It really, really is. And there is a one shot in one of the episodes that'll blow your mind.
All right.
It'll be worth you not sleeping for a month.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's a show, once you get into it, it's not scary anymore.
It really is not, yeah.
It's so much more psychological. Like in the beginning, when you don't really know what's going on, you're terrified, and then you're just drawn into the story. It's not as scary.
Cool.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. The other two, I'm saying the other 2 things of his that I've seen, Gerald's Game and Dr. Sleep, I loved. I mean, Dr. Sleep is probably my favorite Stephen King thing. I mean, I love it probably as much as Shawshank, and I love Shawshank.
Wow. Okay,
I do. And I really want to watch the extended version of Dr. Sleep. I have to buy it, and I'm kind of a cheapskate right now. But anyway, moving on. Who's Carrie, your 5-word review?
Okay, good. I have multiple.
Yeah.
So the first one actually is related. I was going to interrupt you before, Sean, with something you were saying about Sissy Space. I can't say her name. Say her name for me. Spacek.
Spacek, yeah.
Yes. So that scene, because she almost did seem like she was, I don't know if you want to say on the spectrum, or like there was something, something was going on with her. She's a fantastic actress. So my first review was Sissy Spacek is fantastic. She played this character so well. when she was her crazy eyes at the end when she's just walking around not blinking for God knows how long. I just felt like someone needs to go blow in her eyes and make this woman blink. But I was so afraid of her, and you felt so bad for her. Like I rallied behind her through this entire movie, even whenever I'm like, oh God, how do you not know this? Or the situations where you see what makes somebody a villain, I guess, like her origin story. And I didn't relate to her, but I empathized with her.
Yeah, very much. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so my actual review was Cinderella story meets worst nightmare. Because the whole thing that happened with Sue trying to help her out and Tommy getting on board, they tried to really say, like, let's give you a great senior prom. You are a good person. You know, everyone calls her creepy Carrie and everything. So it's like the two genuine people in the movie were trying to give her something really nice. And she had this whole moment, this perfect prom night. The guy kissed her. He likes her. She's named prom queen. And it's all brought down on her. And it's just heartbreaking to watch. And the last one was, and I will censor this again. I don't freaking blame her. I don't blame her for what she did. These people sucked. They all deserved it. I felt bad for Tommy. Because we don't really see how he dies. He does die. They say it at the end that everybody died.
Everyone that was in there died. Yeah.
Up in the fire. But I don't blame her for what she did. Yeah. I'm on Team Carrie, clearly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, guys, the ending was crazy. The only critical thing I would say about the ending is that because it's filmed so chaotically, it's a little hard to know what's happening as the viewer.
Yeah.
I was a little confused. Like you said, like we don't know what happened with Tommy specifically. There was a couple.
He worked down though, so I mean, we know he died.
Yeah. We know, like everyone dies that was in the building. The only two that didn't, the only three people that we care about in the movie is Sue, who we see she was locked out of the building, or she was physically hurled out of the building by the coach lady. Which again, okay, the coach is kind of trying to be on her side, on Carrie's side. Like she's trying to look out for her, but she's kind of bad at it.
Yeah.
And then at the end with the whole...
She's still laughing at her, though. In the audience, she's laughing.
I don't think she was.
I think that was Carrie. I think Carrie was interpreting that. Because most of the...
Oh, okay.
Like, the coach was definitely horrified. And a lot of those other people were horrified. I think it was just... What was the chick's name? Norma? The one that wore the hat all the time, even to prom.
Red hat.
Yeah. Why is she wearing a hat to prom? She was laughing and trying to get people to laugh, but I think everyone was pretty horrified by it.
Yeah, when they went that kaleidoscope effect, it made me kind of think like, remember when they had Margot Robbie's character in the Suicide Squad? When like
it went into her world.
It went into her world. There's like flowers and happy and stuff when it's murder and mayhem. Like I think it's kind of like the opposite, right? Like I think you're right, Carrie. I think there was only a few people laughing, but to her, because everyone has been laughing at her. All the,
and that's what Mom told her was going to happen. Everyone's going to laugh at you. I think she's got tunnel vision, and that is all she saw.
Yeah, and that's what happened, and so she snapped. So I mean, I kind of felt bad that the coach died. I didn't feel bad that the principal died because he sucked.
He couldn't get her name right.
Yeah.
The teacher said, the coach said her name 4 times in that 30 seconds, and he just, oh God, what an idiot.
And that it really bothered me because I know teachers that they don't care enough to learn the kid. I work with a person who is that exact same thing. Like, I don't know the kids' names. I had a friend one time that called every student sir or ma'am because he didn't want to learn their names.
Nice.
Yeah.
You
have someone in your ear telling you, psst, her name's Carrie White, and you still can't get it? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, he sucked. He sucked. Whose turn is it, Andrew?
I've got a couple here. Best prom ever. That's 3 words. Shakespearean tragedy teen horror movie.
Yeah,
and
good,
then my last one is finally a horror film with a great story.
All right.
Now, was the story told well on film. I don't know. There are some things that really bothered me, but this was my first time seeing it. I knew, unlike you guys, I knew nothing about it except the title.
Really?
Really?
I knew, I haven't heard anything about it. I didn't know she was telekinetic. I didn't know anything about the, I had
The
seen
prom
pictures,
and everything? Really?
Like I didn't know anything about prom. I had seen pictures of her covered in blood. That's all I knew, was she was covered in blood at some point in the movie. I didn't know why. I didn't know how. That's just what I knew. And so I went into this pretty much blind, and not really knowing what to expect. And I was pleasantly surprised, to be honest. I really feel like the story was a good story. And when I said Shakespearean tragedy teen horror movie, it felt like a teen movie. It felt like I was watching something made in the 90s. Like, what is that? She's All... Is that the name?
Yeah,
she's all that, or 10
She's
Things
All
I
That.
Hate About You, or
Yeah. It felt like I was watching one of those. And I felt like at the end, had her friend Sue saved her by, pushing her out of the way or whatever, that would have been the ending. That would have been the ending to the teen movie,
Mm-hmm.
But because that didn't happen, you get the horror and the tragedy implemented into the movie. There were too much usage of slow motion, in my opinion. The scenes, there were so many scenes that it just felt like we were there forever. And that, we've talked about that opening scene, but the slow-mo was used many, many times. And then inexplicably, there was one scene that was supposed to, I guess, kind of be like a tuxedo montage in a way, that had a random fast-forward moment.
Yeah.
And
I
it
hated
fast
that
forwarded
so
their voices
much.
and their...
Yeah, that was very weird.
And
That
that
strange.
took me out of the movie. And I know those are just directorial choices, and I thought that was really dumb.
How about the directorial choice to spin in the dance scene?
Oh,
I wrote that down.
Get faster and faster and faster.
It's
Yeah.
so-
That's one of my notes. I just kept getting dizzy.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also that effect was achieved. I dove into some of the trivia on this movie because I really was interested by some of the film choices, and one of them was that they were put on a platform that was rotating one direction and the camera was going the other way, so it made it feel even faster. But the problem is that it gave me a sense that they were dancing very quickly in a circle.
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
do people dance like that are not swing dancing? Like, it was very...
Are you not supposed to?
Yeah, well, I'd never have, but I'm also very uncoordinated, so who knows?
How I dance in my office chair.
I thought it was strange, but I still took it as more of a perspective thing for Carrie. Like, she's getting caught up in the whirlwind of it all. Like, she was so beautiful in prom, and she felt awkward, and Tommy just kept reassuring her and trying to make her feel good about everything. So I think it was just her getting caught up in the moment, and finally, especially at the end when she's like, "Oh my God, our names are on here. Like, I'm included in prom court," and it was so overwhelming for her. So that's how I viewed that scene. Although I did think it was very strange and unnecessary. I got dizzy watching it.
Now, Sam mentioned it earlier, and I'm here to re-emphasize it as well. I thought Tommy was in on it. I thought Sue was trying to do the right thing, but Tommy was boys with John Travolta, and that because the other guys all seemed to be in on it too, right? Like, I felt like, and it wasn't until when the bucket not the bucket itself, but when the blood falls on her, he looked genuinely confused and scared.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, he's actually trying to be a nice guy here. The girlfriend said, hey, take Carrie to prom. Let's do something nice for her, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, in that moment, and then of course the bucket hits him, and then he gets, like, it's like almost like a pratfall. Like, I don't know if it was supposed to be funny or not, but when it hit him and he like stumbled over, I thought, how heavy is that bucket? Is that like a cast iron bucket?
Yeah, really, it knocked him out. That's a little
like
extreme.
This is a football player, right? Like, he gets hit worse than that in the field. Anyway.
No, but we never saw him with John Travolta, so I don't know why you thought he was in on it.
I don't.
I was in Sean's boat too, though. I also thought he was in on it. So it was something was lost in translation.
I think this was all the mean girls. They were in on it, and then they were getting their boyfriend. That's why that girl, I think her name is Norma, the girl with the hat. When she started laughing, she kept hitting her date next to her, like, laugh with me the whole time. Like she was trying to get him in the moment. And that's why John Travolta wasn't about it until the girl was giving him head. She's like, by the way, you like how this feels, right? Well, we hate Carrie White, in case you were wondering.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the subliminal messaging thing she's doing.
Yeah. Oh, you want more head? You have to go kill a pig later. Okay.
Right.
So
weird.
weird.
That scene was terrible. Why go with a mallet of all things?
Yeah, so again, I knew about the pig's blood. And so when they went to the pig farm, my thought was simply they're just going to go to where the pigs are slaughtered and just steal it. Right?
Yeah.
Like if they slaughter pigs, there's going to be blood, they probably have to collect it and then dispose of it in some way. I just assumed they murder a pig in this movie with a sledgehammer. I mean,
and Chris sits and cheers him on the whole time. She's yelling and screaming while he's whacking this pig with a mallet.
Yeah, she is a psychopath.
The most traumatized.
Yeah, she is. Yeah,
absolutely.
It was so crazy. All right, my 5-word. I only had the one, and it was simply don't bully the quiet girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So just be nice to people, okay? Let's just be nice. I am going to run down some more of my notes here before we get into some clips. There's not much clips. There's not a whole lot to capture that isn't just awful and screaming and the psycho screeching sound, right?
I kind of enjoyed that, actually. Like, I like that they put the psycho noise in here for whatever reason.
It was an interesting choice. I was looking to see what the connection was, and the only connection was just simply that the De Palma liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Was it the same composer? No. It's not the same author, anything. It's just De Palma liked it. He just wanted to use it to...
That sound originated in Psycho?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, that screeching violin, that's the sound that
yeah.
Norman is happening when Norman Bates is stabbing the woman in the shower.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that one you've not seen also?
I have not seen that. I've seen Bates Motel.
Oh, okay. Also, I'm sorry, Carrie, go ahead.
Oh, I'm saying Bates Motel was a great show.
It is.
The high school in this movie, I think, is something Bates High School, which is also a reference to that. There's a couple of other references to Psycho.
Yeah.
And it's funny. So, Andrew, so you say you've not seen Psycho. So these movies, this movie, Psycho, and these other kind of very famous horror films are permeated in our zeitgeist and whatever. So I remember an episode of Rocko's Modern Life. Anybody remember that show?
Oh, I loved
it.
Yeah.
There's an episode where they're on a road trip and they have to stay at a creepy hotel. Mm-hmm. And the guy that's working the stand, the counter, is like really creepy, right? And all of a sudden, someone says something. He goes, "Hold on," and then he goes, "What is it, mother?" And then the camera kind of cuts, and there's a big house on the hill with the window and a shadowy figure in the window, and he goes, "Coming, mother," and then he puts a wig on and then runs away. Right now. As a kid, I had no idea what that meant.
Yeah, me either. I remember that, but I didn't understand it.
I have no idea what it was until I watched that movie with my mother. And then when you have the reveal, I'm like, oh my gosh, Rocko's Modern Life was making fun of this thing 30 years later. How funny is that? So
it all makes sense.
It does. I love it when you get these little things as a kid, and then you 20 years later it makes it, or 10 years later or whatever it was. Okay, so a couple of notes that we'll do here. Mention the pig. I guess we should answer this, Carrie. I want you to answer this for Sam, because Sam said, "Why pig's blood? Why not anything?"
Yes,
else? So,
why pig's blood?
Carrie?
I don't know why it was pig's blood, but I know that it was actually corn syrup. I can answer it that way. I don't know why they use pig's blood.
I picked up on it that the fact that it was pig's blood was because pigs
it was dirty.
It was available. I think just because it was the only kind of blood they get. They wanted blood because of the whole thing from the beginning of the movie with the period.
Right.
So they wanted to, humiliate her again with blood. The fact that it was pig's blood, I just assumed just because If there was a cow slaughterhouse in town, they would have used a cow, but because they were pigs.
Well, and yeah, it was all about. I looked it up just now, and it basically symbolizes the menstrual blood from earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I thought you were
So
asking specifically about pigs. Yeah, it was because of her period. It's let's make this. That was already traumatizing for her. Let's make it a whole lot worse.
Yeah.
And cover her in blood in front of everybody.
Yeah.
God, the worst people ever.
That's just terrible. I mean, there is not very few redeeming people in this movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I think they all got what they deserved.
Yeah.
So
I don't feel for them.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Well, I was just going to say, to go back to one thing that Sam mentioned about the mother. He mentioned Sam, you mentioned the mother, you felt like she was too young. But I remember there was something that she talked about basically getting pregnant before they were married.
That's true.
Or,
yeah. So she had to have been
young.
young.
I think she was a young mother.
Yeah.
I did the math. She's like 31 years older than Sissy Spacek, so and maybe they made them up. I mean, Sissy Spacek is supposed to look younger than she is, right? She's supposed to look like 17.
Mm-hmm.
She's 20 something.
Was she 20 something?
I don't know. She was very naked, so I hope she was at least not a minor.
I don't know that they cared about that in the 70s.
No, I don't know. I don't know either. But
22 timeline.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
remember Blue Lagoon.
Well, that's true. And that was what 90s, wasn't that? In early 90s, right?
80s.
Was it 90s? It was 80s.
I don't know. She was what's her name was also very naked in that movie too. And she was right, she was 17. Right?
I thought she was 13. I thought she was young.
She wasn't that young.
No, not that young. No, she was.
I don't know.
That's
I've only seen that once, and that was many, many years ago.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a movie that like Brooke Shields played a prostitute or something when she was like 12 or 13?
Really?
And had sex scenes. Oh yeah. I have to look that up.
Yeah, go for it. She was 27. Spacek was 27 when she filmed.
Wow.
Oh damn, she's a good-looking 27.
Like, I knew she was in her 20s because they're in the trivia. So the scene at the end that the three of us jumped at, she was actually buried. They buried her in that to do that. Like it wasn't a stunt person.
Terrifying.
That's her arm.
It was her arm because she felt like it had to be her. So when she went to the director to tell her that, the director was so kind of scared about the stunt that he basically when it came time to physically bury her, he couldn't do it, so he had to have her husband do it.
Like he could. He's like, I'm not going to do this. So if anything goes wrong, it's on you instead of me.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. Can you imagine being buried alive like that? That's a fear of mine. I wouldn't do it.
No, go watch the movie Buried with Ryan Reynolds. You'll have some issues.
No thanks.
Because that whole movie takes place inside a coffin. So if you have claustrophobic issues,
A little bit. Well, at least when it comes to being buried.
Yeah, movie again. The whole movie
gets you.
Ryan Reynolds in a coffin. So
it's a horror movie.
Yeah, it's a horror movie. It really
is.
See, I've watched that one.
Yeah.
Doesn't count apparently, Carrie. All right.
I'm still looking. I'm looking up how old Brooke Shields was when she was in this movie.
I know it wasn't it Brooke Shields that was in Blue Lagoon? Wasn't that her? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so she was 13 and she played a 12-year-old prostitute.
Was she naked?
In the movie Pretty Baby. She has sex scenes. I don't know if she's fully naked, but she had sex scenes.
Really? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Isn't that awful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess if the movie is telling you that she's 12.
Yes, but I was looking up her actual birth date. She was 13 when she filmed it.
Right. I get you're not again I guess my point is that the story is about a very young person going through these horrible things. I guess is my point. It's not like she was 13 playing a 17-year-old having sex.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think the story is that like the Leon the Professional, Natalie Portman is playing a 12-year-old or 13-year-old, and they put sexual tension in that movie on purpose. It is a little bit to make you uncomfortable. And it worked for me.
Can I go back to the mother really quick?
Yeah.
And her death at the end. I don't know. I expected more.
Well,
certainly she got stabbed here and there, but it was like first of all, she took forever to die.
Oh my God!
Like,
the sex
it's
noise
like
made while she was dying.
Yeah.
so weird. It was so weird, but it just I don't know. It didn't hit me the right way.
Was that death scene? Was she supposed to be kind of in the same positions and be stabbed like the creepy laser eyes Jesus?
Yeah, she was kind of like crucified a little bit. And did you guys notice her eyes were glazed over? Like when her head fell to the side, her eyes glazed over in kind of like glowing Jesus eyes. Jesus in the closet. But even so, she was like crucified a little bit with the hands, but then in her chest, it seemed like the knives were all in the exact spots as the Jesus in the closet.
Exactly.
But why was Jesus in the closet full of arrows?
Well,
I like my Jesus in a tuxedo T-shirt.
Right. I like to think of my Jesus as playing Leonard Skinner. Yeah. Playing lead guitar for Leonard Skinner. No, to answer your question, Sam, I don't know. I mean, like I what little I know about Catholic, the Catholic story of Jesus wasn't killed by the crucifixion. He wasn't killed by being nailed to a cross. He was killed by a soldier's spear. So the fact that he had arrows in him is maybe a different interpretation of that story. If someone wants to Google that, by all means. But I honestly think the only reason why that arrow-filled Jesus thing was in there was to give her a rage point, so that when it was time to murder her mom, she went the same way. She went the exact same way. Like, okay, you want to be like Jesus? Here you go. I'm gonna give you.
And was it just me, or did the mother spend like an hour behind the door
waiting
for her to get out of the bathroom?
Lit candles in the entire house and then hid behind her bedroom door forever. What was the point of that?
That was very strange. Because as soon as you see that, right? As soon as she walks, Carrie walks by the camera, and then the camera allows you to see that the mom's back there. I'm like, oh, she's gonna try to murder her while she's naked in the bathtub. Once again, blood and nakedness for Carrie is bad. But no, she lets her take a bath and get dried and put on some clothes and do her hair,
and then call out to her wanting comfort, and instead her mom stabs her in the back. I loved the roll down the stairs, though. That was such a perfectly choreographed somersault down the stairs.
Yeah.
I just, and I also felt so bad because, I mean, all of us have gone through it where you've just taken a shower and like all of a sudden you step in a mud puddle or, you grease all over you and you're like, crap, I'm dirty again. So like she's been stabbed again. So it's like, man, she's going to take another bath.
Right. She's got more blood on her, this poor girl.
More blood.
Yeah. Just can't escape.
We haven't mentioned, other than like the closet itself, the fact that her mom had this little torture closet for her is nuts. Have you guys seen Matilda? Because it reminded me of the Chokey. When they're like, get in the Chokey. That's what it made me think of. I was hoping the whole time that the mom was going to yell that out.
That little prayer closet was just, I mean, it was awful. I mean, everything about it was awful, and it's supposed to be awful. And I can't imagine if, like, the book, I'm also curious to see how the book is different than the movie, because the movie is different, and Stephen King says he likes the movie's ending better.
Oh, really? Interesting.
I've read the book.
Yeah.
I've read a lot of his books, but not that one. I need to give it a shot.
I have read a handful of his, but not that. Yeah, not that also. All right, so last few things here that I'm gonna to kind of cruise through. I did wrote. That's bad English. I did write that Tommy kind of looks like a young curly-haired Guy Pearce.
Yeah.
A little bit.
A little bit. It was just like when he smiled, he kind of reminded me of Guy Pearce a little bit. Yeah. Let's see. Sorry. This is the second movie we've seen recently where a mic stand shocks somebody, right? Because we saw that in Edward Scissorhands. And once again,
Stern sound people.
Now,
come on.
I'm going to take that as she electrified it with her brain somehow. That's the only thing I can think of. Because again, there isn't electricity in a mic stand. So,
well, if you add enough water and there's outlets.
Do what, Carrie?
A mic stand isn't plugged in any way?
Not to an outlet.
Not to power like that, no.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm out of my realm here. My mic is currently plugged in to my sound system. So.
Right, but if you dunked it in water, it wouldn't electrocute you.
No,
Yeah.
David,
You could bring it
David
into
Lee
the
Roth-
bathtub.
Yeah.
David
You
Lee
also
Roth
don't
licked
see a
his
fire
microphone.
hose sit in. A fire hose doesn't kill everybody either that way either, or move on its own accord. It looked like the snake in Jungle Book.
Yeah.
The way the fire hose was like going after everybody.
I thought she was controlling that.
She was.
That's what I thought so too.
Yeah. I have an
Was
interesting.
there a door that was open?
I don't know.
I thought I saw a door that was open.
I don't know.
Not the one she went out of, but a regular door where, like, people were like trying to get out, but they couldn't. But it was slightly ajar.
I do know that when they
No,
forced
it was
it
a door,
open,
Sam.
but then she closed it back in on them. I know that,
Slammed all the doors closed
Yeah.
on them.
which I thought was kind of neat. That she's like, "Nope, you're not getting out of here alive." I actually kind of enjoyed that.
And I actually really liked that Chris and what's his name, Billy? Is that John Travolta's name in the movie?
Yeah.
I like that they watched the entire thing happen and then tried to go to run her over with the car afterwards. And she's like,
That's so stupid.
flips the
Oh.
car, sets it on fire.
Yeah.
Like they got out. They should have ran away.
That reminds me. She's walking in the middle of the road, covered in blood, and a fire truck
Just drive
does
right
not
by.
doesn't stop and help her.
Right.
They don't have.
Anybody else, like, let's radio to the cops and let them know there's some girl walking around covered in blood away from the scene of the crime.
Yeah. Think we should stop? Nah, it's fine. We got a fire to put out. Okay. I hope she'll be all right.
It's
Oh, here
just
comes
pig's
a-
blood. Let's
Oh,
keep
here comes
driving.
a car going 100 miles an hour down past us. Should we also turn around
Yeah,
and go make
Also,
sure?
not our problem.
Nope, not a problem. Okay.
Oh, and they did our favorite effect, or they sped it up. They sped up the timing of the
Yeah.
car going around her.
It's a little more forgivable in the 70s because they did that a lot, but like when
Yeah.
they do it now, it's pretty awful. But yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Bad.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how sexy all the cars were in this movie, though? Like, the 70s were a great time for cars.
Yeah.
And everybody drove
No.
the best car. Multiple Mustang. I mean, it was great. Like,
Oh,
I want to
yeah,
drive that car.
Yeah. Travolta's cruising around in some kind of like Chevy Nova or something, and then those guys that are driving in the Mustang show up and throw him a beer, and he starts drinking it, and there's a cop like shining the
Sloppiest drink ever, too.
Oh
I
my
get it that he kind of missed it, but he's just sitting there with beer pouring down his face.
Yeah.
Like, wipe your face off, you slob. What are you doing?
Yeah, apparently he does literally have a drinking problem. It's just getting it in his mouth. I did so my wife did not watch this with me. She wanted no part of it, but she did ask, "Hey, wasn't this filmed in North Carolina?" So while we were talking just now, I was looking. No, this was filmed all in California, but Carrie 2 was filmed here in North Carolina. It's just down the street from where I am right now. So that's kind of cool.
I didn't know there was a sequel.
Yeah, it came out in '99, and the connective tissue is Sue. Sue is somehow related. I didn't get into it too much here on IMDb, but Sue, I did see that the same actress was in it as Sue, so she's
Ooh,
the connective
Totally
tissue.
watched that.
Yeah, and like the high school there in that movie is North Gaston. I mean, it's just like I said, it's just down the street.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. She crucified their mom at the end. And I did. And I wrote my last note was I did jump at the end. So there you go. I'm going to read you this little piece of trivia here. I found this really interesting. There's a lot. This is one of those movies that has lots and lots of trivia, but I did find this interesting, and then we'll do clips here. When the fire hose is being sprayed at PJ Soul's character, I think she was the hat girl. I'm not sure. The water pressure actually burst the actress's eardrums.
Oh.
Souls
Wow.
is not actually unconscious when her head rolls from side to side from the force of the fire hose, but she is in terrible pain and has lost her ability to maintain equilibrium. Brian De Palma decided to keep the shot in. Souls had no hearing in that ear for about 6 months afterwards, though the eardrum did eventually heal.
Wow.
I hope she got hazard pay.
Ow. Ah.
Well, this is the same thing, right? The same thing that happened to the Exorcist girl, right? Like she has
Broke her back or something, right?
like legit back damage. I mean,
Yeah.
like these actors were just really bad or the directors, I should say, were really bad to actors back then. So I mean, now you got Tom Cruise like trying to like kill himself on camera. And
Well, yeah, he's 60 years old and refuses to believe he needs a stunt double. So
he just likes to
that's
do it.
a little bit on him.
Scientology is going to protect him. He's fine. All right. All right, time for some clips. I have a few, and we're going to start off with...
I really hope that you have my favorite line of the movie in this clip, because there is a line that I think made the entire movie.
I probably don't. If you think there's something that made the movie, then I probably don't have it.
It made the movie for me. It was the best line in the movie. So
right, we'll see. Here we go. Here's the first one.
Creepy Carrie! Creepy Carrie! Oh!
I like that little bit at the end.
You like the boy getting his come up.
I kind of did. I was okay with that. Of course, my other thought was, why aren't you in school? But I guess elementary school gets out before. This was okay. We never got resolution on this. So I'm going to play the clip, and then we never really got any resolution here. So here we go.
Anyone?
It's beautiful.
Carrie White. Beautiful. Beautiful.
So the poem is like a plot point for a bit of the movie, right? When she says that the poem is beautiful, and then that's his excuse for taking her to the prom. Well, you liked my poem. And then he confesses that he didn't write the poem. I was expecting there to be something to that. Like, I honestly thought that she wrote the poem for him, and that's why she said it was beautiful, because she wrote it or something. Like, I thought that was I just thought there was going to be something there, and it just turned out to be that he just plagiarized it from somewhere.
Yeah, no, I think she was moved by it. Did you notice? I don't know if this was the entire movie, but by the end, whenever they were about to go to prom, she had like a newspaper article about him hanging up by the mirror by her bedroom or in her bedroom. So I think she was moved. She felt like he was deep, and then all of a sudden he likes her.
Yeah.
Poor girl.
Yeah. This was an interesting moment. All right, well, I'll play the clip.
Well, there are 10 minutes left. Stick them up your...
So I captured that not only because the slap made me laugh, and it's like the second or third time that the coach has slapped somebody, but I never understood why she doesn't say ass. She just stops. It's very strange.
There was a delay.
Well, there are 10 minutes left. Stick them up your...
She just stops. It's very strange.
It sounds to me like the slap was supposed to happen in the middle of that word.
Yes.
It's delayed. Yeah.
Maybe you're right. That you're probably right. Like the script told her not to finish the word, but so she just followed the script. And I mean, like, is she afraid to say ass to a teacher? This is a teacher that, I don't know. Just language did not seem to be an issue in this movie, because they. Oh, I'm gonna ask you this, because I watched this on the AMC. Amazon Prime, whatever. So, and Carrie, you've seen this movie several times. I don't know if you own it or not, but you said you've seen this. Was this movie cut for you for commercials?
I watched it on AMC also, and there were no commercials in it.
Not commercials. They were fade to black. You know, a scene ends, and it would just fade to black and then come up like there was a commercial break.
Oh no, not for me.
I didn't notice anything on mine either.
Yeah, I didn't either. I rented it on Amazon Prime.
Me too.
I didn't notice that.
Interesting. Okay. There was probably 6 or 7 moments where like the scene was done, and so it would just fade to black and then come up. It felt like, oh, if they made this for a TV. They made this to be on the the WB or WGN in Chicago.
Well, I wonder if it was cut for AMC.
And maybe that's what I thought, but then they're still using F-bombs and lots of nudity, so that's why I was confused. It's like, well, they're
AMC After Dark.
There you go.
There you go.
Now, we were all surprised, or at least the three of us were surprised, that John Travolta was in this movie. Did you guys know that Larry the Cable Guy was in this? I got a clip of him. Here you go.
Come here! Hey, get her done. You can't do it from standing out here. Get her done, man. Get her done. I can't.
Weird. I didn't know Larry the Cable Guy showed up in this movie.
That.
I wonder if that's where he got that phrase.
You know what?
watched
Maybe.
Yeah.
You know.
He probably doesn't even realize he saw this movie once as a kid, and it's just been embedded in his head ever since.
Yeah. All right. I don't know which one of you, Andrew or Sam, mentioned this, but here's the bit with the sped up audio.
Come on, does this look nice?
He looks beautiful. You can look good. You'll make a good impression for once in your life.
Would you go out with me? Not with Ruffles.
All right, well, you don't have to get Ruffles for yourself. You always got to make a joke, right?
No, I just don't like Ruffles.
You don't like You don't have to get Ruffles! All right, now look at me, Beak. Don't I look sharp?
Well, yeah, it looks good on you, but I don't look right in a tuxedo.
How do you know? Have you ever put on a tuxedo?
I don't have a tuxedo body.
Like, no, they have tuxedos here for you.
But I wouldn't look right in it.
Like, I don't
So weird.
I don't understand the purpose. It wasn't even that much footage that they sped up.
Yeah, it was just like 2 lines of dialogue to speed up. It was very weird. It's a very strange choice, but like all of that dialogue feels like it was ad-libbed. You know,
Yeah.
hey guys, dudes, just go and hang out. We need you to fill about 5 minutes of airtime because the movie's only an hour and a half.
Well, and even the music they were playing didn't fit with the rest of the movie. Like that entire scene felt out of place.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you're not wrong. That whole sequence felt like we were watching a J.C. Penney commercial out of
Play a
nowhere.
little bit of that again. Not the whole thing, but
Yeah.
just play a little.
Come on, does this look nice?
He looks beautiful. You can look good. You'll make a good impression for once in your
Yeah, it does sound like a commercial.
It does.
You're right.
It's so
Well,
weird.
And maybe it was supposed to, because kind of like Sean, you and Sam both said you felt like Tommy was in on it. And maybe it was supposed to be like, these are his people. This is him with his guys getting ready for prom, you know, I guess, but still very strange.
Yeah, I just and Andrew, I'm going to ask you this. Andrew, did you get that feeling that Tommy was in on it or no? Or is it because Sam and I had a preconceived notion that everyone in this world is horrible to her?
No, when he kissed her, that's when I kind of, bought into the fact that he was being legit. I didn't feel like, but I did have a sense of maybe he was going to turn on her, but I didn't really think he was a bad person. And then when he kissed her, that sealed the deal for me. I was like, oh, okay, he probably
generally
wouldn't kiss her if he was just being a jerk.
The kiss kind of bugged me though. Like, was Sue his girlfriend or just his date? Because
I think he cheated on Sue.
I think he did too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the same thing too. I was like, because when he did kiss her, I thought, oh wait, did Sue tell him to do that? That seems weird. It just felt like a dude taking advantage of a girl in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So
I didn't feel like it was taking advantage though. Honestly, it seemed like he genuinely liked her. Maybe this is just me being an optimist or something, but that's why one of my reviews was Cinderella story turns worst nightmare, because this was such a perfect night for her.
Yeah.
Until it all fell apart.
Well, and she is gorgeous.
She is.
Yeah.
That's one thing too. One thing I hated about the teacher or the coach is when she was talking to her, she's like, Carrie, you're great if you just did something to your hair and maybe you put on a little lipstick and maybe you put on a little blush. Like, people would like you. It's like, God, you're the worst. You are just the worst kind of mentor for these girls.
Yeah, that again, this is this is I'm gonna take it a step farther and say she's the kind of coach that would say, well, if you don't want boys to touch you, then don't dress that way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's just it's just the gist that I got. I don't know. Maybe I'm
or classic. Well, boys will be boys. I think it's more that kind of girl. Yeah.
Yeah. The last thing I do want to say before I have one more clip, but we were talking about the coach, and I wanted to say it earlier, and I got interrupted by something, and probably you making fun of my coffee taste or whatever. But it was when Sue is, she sneaks in, and she realized she sees the rope, right? So like for me as the again as the guy who did not realize that she was trying to be nice, and the genuine look of horror on her face, I thought, oh, she is not in on this, and she's very scared for what's happening. So the coach sees her and clearly sees that she's looking up, but for some reason the coach doesn't do what every other human would ever do and see what she's looking at, right? I mean, if I started looking off camera right now, you guys would probably be curious what I'm looking at. So like, the coach doesn't do that. So then when she goes into under the stage and sees them and she's yelling, again, any normal human being would like, what are you doing? Like,
Right.
like, why are you yelling at these people? And instead, she just manhandles her. I'm going to use that phrase. And like, again, throws her out like she's a drunk at a bar. It was so strange.
Well, and I think her concern was for Carrie. Like, she was so focused on no one better pick on this kid that she was afraid that's what was happening. And I think we're supposed to believe that she didn't see the people under the stage. And
we did. I mean,
she did look up too. Like, to your point, I thought that she did look up and see the bucket. I could be wrong.
Oh, I don't know. If she sees, if she does look up, yeah, if she does look up and see the bucket, and then does what she does, then she definitely deserved to get cut in half by the thing.
Right.
You know, like,
yeah.
Because then maybe, I don't know. I don't know. For me, I other than the slapping part and the bad advice, she wasn't a bad person. You know, she kind of sucked at her job a little bit, but she was trying. You know, it's like a person trying to do the good thing but badly or whatever. That's not the phrase, but you know what I'm saying. Does the wrong things for the right reasons. That's the phrase. Like, I don't know. I know the moment has to happen. I know that, but it just kind of feels like if she just is better at being a, you know, noticing things, then Carrie doesn't murder the whole high school.
If she's listening too, because Sue is screaming at her this entire time. She's trying to say, no, listen, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
And he just throws her out.
Yeah.
So I agree, she deserved to get cut in half.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Here's my last one.
He's gonna laugh and they're all gonna laugh and
There you go. So what was the line I was supposed to get?
So the line that I loved is when her mom says, I can see your dirty pillows, talking about her boobs. That has always killed me. It's one of my, it's like,
I almost captured that. Because that's the line before this, right? Because she said you can see your dirty pillows. They're called breasts,
everyone
Mom.
can see
All
dirty
girls
pillows.
have. Yeah, they're just called breasts. Okay,
So
great. Time for the game. All right, time for the game. And this week
Lord.
our game is sponsored by.
It's time to feel the rage. Join us on Film Rage, where we talk movies, current releases, coming attractions, streaming, and classic films as well. Directors and actors beware, as you cannot hide from the rage. My name is Bryce, and I'm part of the Film Rage crew, which also includes Jim.
Hey.
And Murray.
Yo. Why is it you always talk all the time? I can't understand why your voice is so...
This is the Merman, the voice of reason. These two can't agree on anything most of the time. Some movies are Mondo, some are just suck. Every week something is going to make us rage. Join us every Wednesday and
feel the rage.
And now for some more bad news. Ready?
All right. This is the game that we call Hey, Did You Notice? This is a game where Andrew has found all kinds of interesting things in the background of the movie, like how many candles were lit at the end. And he will ask us these questions. Carrie and I will go head to head, and we will see how we do. Sam, you want to be on my team too, since we're both new to this?
Sure.
All right. Sam.
I'll help you both out.
Oh, okay.
Oh, because I'm fairly unobservant, so.
Rules are simple. Andrew will ask Carrie the question first. If she gets it right, she gets a point. If she gets it wrong, I have a chance to steal. Andrew, take it away.
Let's go.
All right, Carrie, first question. In the principal's office, he's seen holding a pipe. How many other pipes are on his desk?
Oh,
I have no idea.
2.
Sean?
Why would you have more than one?
If it's 0, this is a rude question, Andrew. I'm just going to say.
He wouldn't do 0. You said 2 was wrong. I'm going to make a weird number and say like 7.
He had one in his hand. He had 4 pipes on this like fancy pipe holder on his desk. It had like 4 pipes on a holder, and then in the middle was his tobacco.
Okay.
I don't know. Never seen one before. I thought it was kind of cool.
So does that mean
cigarettes in the ashtray on his desk?
Yeah. Lots of smoking. Okay.
All right. So no points there. Sean, this is yours. What is the Dewey Decimal number of the book that Carrie takes from the shelf?
803.6.
Carrie.
Wait, what did you say?
What is the Dewey Decimal
No,
number?
I wanted Sean's answer.
Oh, 803.6.
I was going to say 8432.7.
It is 231.0. The 200s in the Dewey Decimal System are anything religious based. And so that's the section she was in. I don't know why I know that, but I do.
Okay.
I'm a human, and we've had too many religious questions during this game.
That was our Google.
Yeah. So back to Carrie. As Tommy is contemplating taking Carrie to the prom, he's watching a Western starring this famous actor.
Oh, no.
It wasn't Clint Eastwood.
I
would have recognized that.
Like, this is too early for that. What's the guy's last name? It's Heston. Charleston Heston?
Charlton. Yeah.
Something like that.
Sean.
I'm just going to say John Wayne.
James Garner.
James Garner. Dang it.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was Maverick. I looked it up to see if this was Maverick because James Garner was the first Maverick.
Yeah.
Before the Mel Gibson movie. But I don't think it was. It had to be something else. But it was a Western.
Yeah, the only Western I've seen is Tombstone, so can't help you there.
Okay.
All right, Sean. What was Carrie's father's name?
Oh, geez.
It's mentioned once in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that one either. I'm glad I didn't participate.
It's like, I don't know. I want to say like Jackson.
Carrie?
I was going to go with John.
This is Ralph.
Damn.
Ralph. Gosh, dang it.
Ralph. Yeah. All right, last
Ralph.
question. Carrie, this is yours.
Okay, I need a point.
On the walls throughout the high school, there are prom posters. What's the date?
Oh, no.
And the beginning time of the prom.
The time is 8. Am I already wrong? I would say the date is May 7th.
Sean.
Damn.
Well, we know that the prom it can't start at 8 because she's having dinner at 8 and then leaves and the prom has already started. So I'll say prom started at 6 and it was May 19th because that's my anniversary.
There are no points awarded in this game today.
Well,
oh my gosh.
The prom was on May 25th, and it started at 9 p.m. And what I thought was cool or weird was that it started at 9 p.m. and ended at 1 a.m.
Holy cow.
And just as a teacher chaperone, 1 a.m. is way past my bedtime.
Right.
Like, that's not happening.
I was going to ask what was the name of the high school, because
Bates.
it is on there quite a bit,
Bates.
but I figured that was too easy. So, and you already mentioned it once, so.
Yeah, heaven forbid these questions be a little easy.
The Dewey Decimal
System, for
on.
God's
I know.
sake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez. So, Clueless will remain as our only game where all of the answers were guessed correctly.
So does anyone else, do you ever play this game, Andrew? Does anyone else ever get to do the questions?
I did it
Sean,
for Serenity.
Sean did it for
No.
Serenity. Yeah.
Okay.
We felt that was probably fair since it's my favorite movie that I would
Seen it
try.
1,000 times.
Yeah.
If I come back on this show, and I'm fine if I'm not invited back, but if I am invited back, I would like to do the questions.
Oh, okay.
Ooh,
That sounds good.
interesting. Yeah.
Mix it up. Okay.
We'll make it a date.
Sounds like a deal.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm down for that. I guess I should have done this earlier also, and the episode's going along, but it's what else is new. So you were supposed to when you came so you were on for Nightmare Alley, and I think like the next day I messaged you, it's like, Carrie, thanks for coming on. We had a great time. The guys were very complimentary. Like, I can't wait to have you back on. Let's have you back on for a real horror film. And you said, I want to do The Lost Boys.
I did, yeah.
I was like, okay, I've never seen that. Let's do it. And of course, you were of course shocked that I had not seen it, like legitimately shocked that I had not seen it.
It's a classic.
I know. I just I haven't seen it. So as we were getting closer, there was something on Twitter. We were doing like you did one of those things where it was like name a movie, a horror movie that starts with the same letter as your name, and you said Carrie, and of course I made the ass comment of like, oh, it's a little too easy, haha. But then you're like, well, we should do that for the show. And then Lost Boys stopped streaming, So here we are with Carrie. I don't know why I felt I needed to tell that story, but I did.
I thought that you suggested that we watch Carrie, but either way, The Lost Boys is a movie. I don't know it by heart, but there are lines that I can quote along with the movie. Sure. And I've seen Carrie before, but it's been years. So enough that I knew the gist of it. Like I knew that her hand was going to come up at the end. I knew pretty much what happened, but I was still surprised by parts of it.
Cool. Well, I'm still glad we did it. I am glad that we watched this one, and we will do Lost Boys. But it's probably going to have to be something like in June, because when you initially asked because you came on in July, and when you asked to do Lost Boys, it was streaming at the time, so that's why I was like, yeah, okay, let's do it. But that movie, because we had The Exorcism, the Exorcist was a movie that we had hard time doing, because every October 1st it gets pulled from all streaming platforms.
Oh, really?
So we had to do it in like September, just to do it. So anyway, time for this.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
This movie has lots of bullies in it, and so therefore our top 3 are movie bullies. So either you can say the name of the bully or just the movie that has some bullies in it. And we start with Sam.
All right, some good old bullies here. I'm going to start at number 3 with Mr. Debo in Friday.
All right.
My number 2 has to be the Scut Farkas in Christmas Story.
All right.
And number 1, and I feel like I'm stealing a bit of Andrew's thunder. Has to be Biff.
Yeah.
From Back to the Future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right. The perfect bad guys.
And he's a bully in 3 different movies, so it's great.
Right. Yeah.
Carrie.
Are you saying like worst bullies, like top 3? Like these are
your favorite bullies, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it was hard for me to pick favorite bullies because in general I don't like bullies.
Sure.
I tend to be the person that wants to like if I see someone being bullied, I immediately want to jump in and stand up for the other person. So this list was hard for me, but I had, in no order, Regina George from Mean Girls.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nancy Downs, which is the chick in The Craft. Have you guys seen The Craft?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the main witch, the girl with the crazy eyes. That's also in.
She's the girlfriend from The Waterboy.
Yes, I was just gonna say, what Adam Sandler movie was she in? Yes.
Yeah.
And Draco Malfoy from Harry Potter.
Draco, that's a good one.
Draco, yeah.
That's a good call. All right. My turn. So I had a couple honorable mentions just in case one of mine got pulled, which Carrie did my Regina George, so I'll flip that one out. So my honorable mention is going to be the bullies. They're unnamed. So unnamed bullies that bully Spock in Star Trek 09. That was the only way I could connect Star Trek to it. But they bully Spock and he beats the shit out of them. So my number 3 is going to be the entire Cowboys from the Little Giants movie, the entire other team.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
From the Little Giants. My number 2 is going to be the bully, again, I don't know his name, from the Karate Kid, the remake, the one with Jackie Chan, which is, I know, controversial to say, it's I like that Karate Kid better than the original.
Do you really?
I do, because Daniel LaRusso is a bitch, and he's kind of the bully of that story. Not gonna lie.
Well, he is. Yeah.
He
You're
kind
not
of
wrong.
is. Whereas in this movie, Jaden Smith is bullied, a lot, and Jackie Chan. And Jackie Chan, I hate to say this too, is a better actor than Mr. Miyagi.
Miyagi?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say.
Blasphemy.
I know. Jackie Chan, the Jackie Chan. There's a scene in the that Karate Kid. It had me in tears, like actual tears, because it's a sweet moment where Jackie Chan is telling his horrible life story, and the boy, they rise above this grief together through training and kung fu. It's a very sweet moment. And my number 1 are the grasshoppers from A Bug's Life.
Okay, yeah.
So
I like that you went weird with it.
yeah, I was trying to kind of go whatever. Andrew.
Well, I did have Biff Tannen as on my list, but I will let Sam take this one.
Thank you.
Yeah. So at number 3, I have Professor Umbridge from Harry Potter.
Good one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
At number 2, I have Buzz from Home Alone.
I almost had him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then number 1, I have Gaston from Beauty and the Beast.
That's a good one, too.
That is a good one, yeah. Very good.
No. One.
Let's see. Twitter was fairly active on this one, which is nice. Cameron from Green Shirt Podcast says Johnny, the Karate Kid, Alvin from Paranorman, and Steve Buscemi's character from Billy Madison, which I always took the other way. I thought Adam Sandler was the bully to Steve Buscemi's character in Billy Madison, which is why at the end of the movie he doesn't shoot him because he apologized. Am I misreading that, right?
Sorry, it just made me think about that guy that yells jackass in Happy Gilmore.
Yeah. You will miss this putt, you jackass. Ebony.
Remember Steve Buscemi's character in Billy Madison.
Like literally, it's the end of the movie, and Billy Madison said Adam Sandler decides to start calling people he was mean to in school, and he calls Steve Buscemi, and he's like, "Hey man, I'm sorry I was a dick to you." And Steve's like, "Hey, I appreciate that." And then he crosses him off his list, his kill list, and then puts lipstick on. And then at the end of the movie, when Bradley Whitford are doing the debate, and then Bradley Whitford pulls a gun out, Steve Buscemi comes in, shoots Bradley Whitford, and then leaves, and then and Sandler says, "Boy, I'm glad I called that guy." Anyway.
Yeah, really.
So I think Cameron, what we're saying is that
you're wrong.
You're wrong. Ebony, a guest from last week, Ebony chimed in to say Biff from Back to the Future, the O'Doyle family from Billy Madison. See, there you go.
O'Doyle rules.
There you go. And Billy Madison's one of her favorite movies. And Nurse Ratched from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Ooh, that's a good one, too.
Attitude Era Wrestling Review Podcast says Biff, Dennis the Menace, and Flash Thompson from Spider-Man. I like how Dennis the Menace is the main character, is the bully of that story. I think
Wait, a bully?
he just sucked.
He's a pest.
Yeah, he's a menace.
Yeah,
would say. Shoot the
He just
Flick.
did what he did.
Shoot the Flick says Biff, Heather Chandler, and Debo. Who's Heather Chandler?
Is that from Heathers?
I don't know. It doesn't have a name for the movie.
Sounds right.
I'm assuming that's from Heathers. They were all bullies.
Okay.
Could be.
Your next favorite movie says Buddy Revel at 3 O'Clock High, Robert Dreyer from Savage Streets, and Moody from My Bodyguard. Wanted to pick some unconventional choices. Nostalgia Cast says Biff Tannen, Chet Donnelly from Weird Science, and Francis Buxton from Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh, yeah.
And Sam just said my mom, apparently, which is nice. Thank you, Sam. And That's Really Neat Podcast says the classic Mean Girl Heathers from the Twisted movie Heathers. Yeah, I'm literally on my phone right now, Sam, as you chime in, your mom. Thanks.
Sam, love your laugh.
I'll let
Love you, Miss Allred.
Yeah, I'll let you.
I can't see you, so I feel like you're sitting there, just like twisting your dirty mustache right now as you're giggling.
Yeah,
it's not entirely off base.
Yeah. All right, time for this.
Wait, what's supposed to happen?
This is where we give this movie a score from 0 to 10. I'll be really interested to see where we go with this. Yeah, really interested. And in fact, I was really interested in our scores from last week because Carrie, like you have seen my reaction on Twitter from Paranormal Activity, and you heard me bitch about it just now a little while ago. Like, I gave it the highest score of anyone.
What'd you give it?
I gave it a 7.5.
Okay.
Because the movie set out to scare me, and it did.
And it did it.
And it did. So
yeah, you're a little traumatized.
Yeah, I mean, I have no qualms about saying that. It bothered me. It really did. Few movies that we have watched for this podcast have bothered me the way that movie has. So, Andrew goes first.
IMDb has a 7.4. I am going to go about that area because, like I said, I like the story. I think it's good. This is a horror movie that I think I could watch again. You know, Paranormal Activity, we talked about how I would not want to rewatch that, and I think the rewatchability on that one would not be good. This one I could rewatch. There are a few things that bother me, but I still think it's a good movie. So I think Sam kind of hinted at this earlier. Is it really horror? I mean, Maybe. I don't. I kind of thought the same thing. I don't know that it's really horror.
What genre would you put it in then? Drama?
I
Drama.
guess.
Yeah.
Or sci-fi drama.
Okay.
Because she's kind of a mutant. I guess.
No,
But
you're
anyway.
not wrong.
Miracle.
What's really interesting is that the actors that were playing the other parts, right? Like they thought this was a dark comedy.
Mhm.
Like they did not realize what they were they were trying to be over the top, like the girl screaming at him when he's killing the pig, like they were overacting because they thought this was like a dark comedy. And then when they see the final thing, they're like, "Oh my god, we're horrible people." You know, this is like I thought that was really interesting that the director didn't give them a full idea of what they were making. Anyway,
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so I'm gonna probably be right there. 7, maybe a little under that. I'll go 7.2.
Okay, 7.2. Carrie.
8. I loved it. I agree. It would have been higher for me if it was scary. I think it's horror, but not all horror is scary.
Yeah.
And it's not a perfect movie. Just kind of some of the poor dialogue and ways that the movie doesn't hold up well to today's standards stop me from giving it a higher number. But I loved it. I'm giving it an 8.
All right. Sam.
Yeah, I had a hard time trying to come up with mine, only because I was kind of like Andrew, where I'm wrestling with, is this horror or not? And was this story told well? Which I think it was. It does have some hiccups here and there. We heard the fast forwarding. We saw some really strange directorial decisions on things. But if there's one thing that movies that I like do, and that is stick an image in my brain that is hard to go away.
Mm-hmm.
And it really isn't the image of her with the blood draped over her. It's the image in the shower when they're throwing tampons on her that I think is probably the I want to say goriest, but just that is just horrible. And that is something that'll probably stick with me. So, I'm not going to give it too bad. 7.18 out of 10 on my end.
All right. I like it. I'm kind of with you all so far. The only I was in my notes, and again, this podcast is going on close to 2 hours, and I apologize.
Holy crap!
I blame Carrie. That's the other thing the director did
for being late.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean that that has nothing to do with the fact that we've recorded for an hour and 50 minutes. The other thing that the director did that I don't like, and again, it's a product of its time, even though he did it, the director likes to do it because he did it even in Mission Impossible, where you have the foreperson and the background person on the same plane, and you fuzz. It's that forced perspective. I always hate that because when the mom is there sewing her righteous garments, and Carrie comes out of the closet, because she's not allowed to be out of focus back there. She looks like she's 11 feet taller. Like she looks huge compared to her mom. And then she comes next to her, and then they have the little talk or whatever. I've never liked that as a directorial choice, but I'm only saying that now because I forgot to say it a while ago. But again, this is a good movie. I think this is a well done movie. I think it's well acted. I think all of the things that we kind of poke fun of it for are because of its time. If I had watched this for the first time in 1976, I probably would have been terrified.
Yeah.
And I did also read that Sissy Spacek would go to the theaters when this was opened and just watch people's reaction at the very end of the movie, to watch people scream as the arm comes out. So this movie gets pretty high praise for me too. I'm also going to give it a 7.5. 7.5 arms coming out of the ground. I thought it was good. So it's a good movie. All right.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I did too. All right. I have a pretty strong feeling though that next week's score might be a little bit lower. But before we get to that treat, Carrie, it has been an absolute pleasure having you back on the podcast. And please tell our listeners where they can find your show and all the details because Dicktales is a funny podcast that needs to be listened to by all people.
Thank you. So my show has been on a bit of a hiatus, but we have new episodes coming out probably next week. Don't hold me to that because my life is messy. Dicktales is about sex, dating, and all the things. Dating right now and on the apps is kind of horrifying. And if you want to listen to the ups and downs of what that looks like for me and my friends, please listen to my show. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. And if you follow me on Snapchat just to send me videos of you jacking off, I will delete you for the record.
Oh, Lord. I can't believe that even has to be said. Oh, my gosh.
You would be very surprised then, Sam. It sounds like you're kind of a nice guy.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it's the stuff that she's just she and I have chatted back and forth about that doesn't even make air for her podcast is just insane.
God, this world that my daughters are growing up in scares the crap out of me.
I did read, I don't know if you saw this, Carrie. I did read that in California, it is now considered a sex crime to send an unsolicited dick pic.
Really?
Or an unsolicited nude pic. It can go the other way. Also.
Yeah.
But let's just be fair. No dude's ever going to say no to whatever, What was the
I mean, dirty, everyone wants the boobs, but nobody wants the video of the guy hunched over jacking off. So I don't know if I can say that on your show. I've censored myself a lot, though.
I'm not going to bleep that out. That's fine. Go check her out. Dicktales. If you're looking for her show, just type in Dicktales. There'll be a nice dick there with a monocle and a top hat. You're in the right spot.
Name is Sir Dix-a-Lot. He is a gentleman, even though a lot of you men are not.
Yeah, that's true. She's very right. So go check out her show. Again, it's very funny. I mean, I say funny. I mean, a lot of it's kind of horror stories, but it's kind of told in a funny kind of way. Mostly at Carrie's expense, unfortunately.
Oh,
that's true. That is true. But I also get to call out people that do me dirty, so I enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you. Thanks for having me on, guys. This was a good time.
Absolutely, and we will definitely have you back on. We'll let you pick the questions. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
In the meantime, go check out our website, cheapseatreviews.libsyn.com. There you can find links into our social media, as well as links to our Patreon, patreon.com/cheapseatreviews. Go there, become a Patreon, and get the cool new Hollow sticker that I will mail Carrie so she can have a nice Hollow sticker to add to her collection of the other Cheap Seat Review stickers that she already won from last time.
Fantastic.
Okay, are you ready? Next week, we're doing Morbius. That's right, we're doing Morbius. We wanted to do something fun in the middle of the month. We usually do a goofy movie, some kind of silly horror-ish kind of movie. And V, our awesome guest, returning guest V from Life Paranormal with V, wanted to do that movie. So here we are to do Morbius. Yes.
Yay.
It's going to be a blast. Hey, at least there won't be naked girls on your computer at work, Sam.
That is true.
There is that. All right. Well, that's going to do it. So on behalf of... Why do I always feel like there's something I'm forgetting? Oh, well, it is what it is. On behalf of Andrew, Sam, Carrie, this is Sean saying thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you next week for Morbius.
This is Cheap Seat Reviews.